What up? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world? It's your favorite sportscaster. Chilltown Hoops is in effect. We are coming up on that time of year, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We probably got a month left in the regular season. And at this point, I always felt like when you get to this point of the season, more times than not, you are who you are. If you're a great defensive team, that's going to show. If you're a long ball shooting team, that's going to show. But on the flip side to that, if you can't guard the long ball line, that's going to show. If you can't rebound, that's also going to show. There are some anomalies, like yesterday with the Denver Nuggets in Dallas. I don't think this has been a huge problem for Denver. Denver's got one of the best rebounders in the league in Joker. And in the process of them having him, they also got one of the best dirty work athletes in Aaron Gordon. So I don't think that that's an issue. There are some anomalies. But for the most part, this is who you are moving forward with a month left into the season. And when these teams get together, right, when these teams get together to start the season, there's expectations on these units, right? There's certain teams who don't really have a shot at winning the NBA championship, but could they make the playoffs? Could they win a playoff series? That may be realistic. But then there's teams that get together and that's not the end goal. The end goal is to win the championship. And there's three teams right now that had the goal of winning the NBA championship, but they're in danger of missing the playoffs. That's the Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, and the Los Angeles Lakers. So if the season ended today, Dallas would have to play Phoenix in the play-in tournament. And I don't know what it is about Dallas. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is about Phoenix. But whenever Luka sees Phoenix, he sees red, and he goes after them. I don't care where it is, whether it's in Phoenix, whether it's in Dallas, whether it's on the moon. He goes after them. There's mismatches all over the place with him. Now, watching him yesterday, I see a lot of non-ball movement. I see a lot of one-on-one action with him, a lot of clear outs, and that's a recipe for disaster come playoff time. But when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, who don't really guard at the long ball line, not only do they not guard at the long ball line, they don't, outside of Nurkic, they don't really rebound that well, and they don't guard the rim that well. So with that being said, the Phoenix Suns could very well lose to Dallas in the play-in tournament. So if they lose to Dallas, that means that Dallas is in, and now they have to play the winner. And this is all contingent on if it started today. They would have to play the winner of the Golden State Warriors and the Lakers. Now, mind you, like I said, when the season starts, there's expectations on a lot of these teams. When the Phoenix Suns got together with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and KD, the plan was not, let's just make the playoffs. No. The plan was to go deep into the playoffs. KD is having one of the three most efficient seasons that he's had in his career this year. For the Phoenix Suns to get knocked out of the playoffs, that's a wasted season. And please don't let me forget to mention KD on September of this year, he'll be 36. We don't have any time to waste any seasons with KD. None. No time to waste any seasons with KD. Bradley Beal over the last 3 years, 40 games, 50 games, 60 games. His production in terms of his games being available has gone down. He's 30 years old. So health is now becoming an issue with him. He's got a back issue. He's got a hamstring issue. Now, the question that I have is how serious is this back issue? Because this back issue is nothing to play with. It is nothing to play with. If anybody knows anything about back issues, they're nothing to play with. So how many more elite seasons am I going to get out of Bradley Beal? I've already seen over the last 3 years, he's been slowing down. In terms of his health, he's still a baller. No question about that. He's still a baller. But is he going to be able to hold up? Devin Booker has also been in and out of the lineup, right? This team was not put together to just make the playoffs. Now, mind you, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and KD are on the books for 3 more seasons. 3 more years these dudes is on the books. So, with them being on the books for that long, how many more elite seasons am I going to get out of KD? Who actually, over the course of the last couple of games, been in a bit of a slump, but that doesn't worry me at all because KD is a bucket getter, and you're not really going to stop KD from getting buckets. That's just who KD is. With that being said, right? With that being said, what's the window for this Phoenix Suns team? 2 years? And that's all contingent. Right? That's all contingent on KD. Because KD is the oldest of these guys. It's not like KD is like Damian Lillard, where he's 32, 33 years old, and we probably got another 3-4 more years before he is over or before he really starts to slow down. No. KD is 35 years old. He'll be 36 on opening night next season. We don't have any seasons to waste with him. None. So is it realistic to think that they could miss the playoffs this year? Well, if they lose to Dallas, contingent with the playoffs starting today, if they lose to Dallas, now they find themselves in an elimination game because they're in a double elimination game right now. So then we move to the Warriors and the Lakers. Anthony Davis got injured. He got hit in the eye. Basically, his vision wasn't impaired. He couldn't see. So in the process of him getting hit in the eye, that's the reason why they lost to the Warriors, because the paint basically parted like the Red Sea. Draymond could get whatever he wanted. Wiggins could get whatever he wanted because they now don't have that dominant presence in the paint like they did. They don't have that anymore. They don't have that rebounder. They don't have that rim protector. And Anthony Davis is the anchor on their defense, right? He's the anchor on their defense. So in the process of doing that, one of these two teams, which is the Lakers and the Warriors, the loser of that goes home. The loser of that goes home. And how are we talking about James? And twice in the last 4 years, he missed the playoffs. I'm sorry. 3 times in 5 years, he's missed the playoffs. How are we talking about James now? Because we can't keep using the excuse that, he's 39 years old. We can't keep using the excuse that he's old. We can't keep using that excuse. Then on top of that saying, he's still arguably a top 5 player. We wasn't doing that with Jabbar in 1989. We wasn't doing that with Jabbar in 87. We weren't. No, we were not doing that. So for the Lakers to miss the playoffs for the 3rd time in 5 years, twice with Anthony Davis, this would be pretty dramatic. This would be pretty traumatic for that to happen. And then on the flip side to that, the Golden State Warriors, if they're out, this would be the 3rd time that they missed the playoffs in 4 years. Since they won the championship, since they lost the championship in 19. They missed the playoffs in the bubble. They missed the playoffs again in 21. Won the NBA championship in 22. Lost last year in the semifinals. If they miss the playoffs again this year, that'd be the 3rd. That's the 3rd time in 5 years. 20, 21, and 24. And again, these teams don't get together. The Lakers, the Suns, these teams don't get together to make the playoffs. That's not the plan. These teams are getting together to compete for the NBA championship. And when you lose, not in the playoffs, but during the regular season, and you don't make the playoffs, that compounds where we are as an organization. It compounds it, because now if the Lakers would have missed the playoffs, Now there's some drastic changes that have to be made because, again, that's 3 times in 5 years. What organization that won the NBA championship over the last 5 years missed the playoffs 3 times in the last 5 years? There hasn't been one. There hasn't been one. Denver didn't miss the playoffs 3 times in the last 5 years. Milwaukee didn't miss the playoffs 3 times in the last 5 years. The Warriors and the Lakers. Toronto won the championship in 19, made the playoffs in 20. Did they make the playoffs in 21? 22? I know they missed the playoffs last year. I do know that for a fact, that they missed the playoffs last year. Toronto, the Warriors, and because one of those two teams, again, the Lakers and the Warriors, one of those two teams is going to be out. If it started today, one of those two teams is out. No questions asked. And what does this mean moving forward for these teams? What does this mean moving forward for the Lakers? To lose in the playoff, to lose, not in the championship, not in the championship, but to lose. I'm thinking to myself, there's some drastic changes that have to be made in Los Angeles. The Warriors, for them to miss the playoffs again for the 3rd time in 4 years, I'm sorry, in 5 years, for them to miss the playoffs. Lose in the finals in 19, miss the playoffs in 20, miss the playoffs again in 21, win the championship in 22, and make the playoffs last year. And then this year. So that's 3 times in 6 years. What are we doing with the Golden State Warriors, with this crew? Missed the playoffs 3 times since the 18-19 season. That's 6 seasons. What are we doing with this crew? And because when I think about these teams getting together, when you get KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, Devin Booker is the league leading scorer within the last 4 years. Led the league in scoring. KD is having one of his most efficient seasons that he's had since he's with the Warriors in like 16, 17. He's having one of his most efficient seasons. And Devin Booker is 8 years, 26 a game. These are bucket getters, right? So in the process of these being bucket getters, you get these dudes together. You don't get these dudes together just to make the playoffs. That's not why you put these dudes on a crew. You got these dudes on a crew to make a run, especially considering KD demanded a trade out of Brooklyn, and he went west. When the Los Angeles Lakers gave up the house for Anthony Davis, they didn't do that to miss the playoffs 3 times in 5 years. They didn't do that for that reason. No. They did that to win the NBA championship, like they did in the 19-20 season. In the 2019-2020 season, that's why they did that, to win the NBA championship. And then they get bounced in the first round in 21. They don't make the playoffs in 22. They make the playoffs last year, and they're in danger of missing the playoffs this year. What are we doing with this crew? This is a cash-strapped Laker crew. You extended Rui. You extended Austin Reeves. You extended Anthony Davis. James comes off the books after this year. D'Angelo Russell, who is your best long ball shooter. What are we doing with this Laker team? I look at this Laker team, and I don't think that they're a good team, but I think that they have the ability to take advantage of some favorable matchups. That's it. I think the days of them running through the playoffs like they did in the past, now I think them days are over. Nope. I don't think we see that anymore. I do not think we see that anymore. I think the Warriors are 2 years too late with what they was trying to do. Once they won the NBA championship in 22, that was probably the best time to upgrade the roster, only except they didn't do it. They just ran it back. In the process of them running it back, What have we seen from this crew? I think last year they finished with the 6th seed, and then this year it's just gone the other way. And with a guy like Steph Curry, again, just like KD, who just turned 36. Today is Monday. I think last Thursday, it was either last Thursday or over the weekend, he turned 36. We don't have time to waste any years with Steph Curry. We don't. Power moves have to be made moving forward. And the reason why power moves have to be made moving forward with guys like KD, with guys like James, with guys like Curry, because these guys are on year-to-year. These guys are a year-to-year basis. Well, damn, yo, what do you mean year-to-year basis? When you get that old, this thing could end at any point. I hear people telling me, yo, Steph Curry can play at this level for another 4 or 5 years. No, he can't. No, he cannot, because in 4 years, he's not going to be 36. So, no, he cannot. He's going to be 40, which means that he's not going to be able to move like he did when he was 36. He's not going to be able to move like he did. He's not going to be able to shoot like he did when he was 36. KD could play at this level for another 2-3 years. Really? With KD's injury history and how KD has broken down over the last 4 years, in 3 years at 38, 39 years old, KD is not going to be 35 in 3 years. He's going to be older. So to think that KD is just going to be able to just keep doing what he's doing as he gets older, even though his game is not predicated on flight and athleticism, I think it's irresponsible, because we can't negate him getting older and aging. Same thing with James. James has clearly declined. As much as I watch James, and as good as James has been, you guys know me, I think James is the best to ever do it. But he's not who he was 5 years ago. He's not who he was 3 years ago. He still has some athleticism, but to think that James can keep playing at this level for another 3-4 years, that's just ridiculous. Plus, I don't think he wants to play that long. To be honest with you, I don't think he wants to play that long. I think that James, to be honest with you, I think he's going to try to wait on his boy, but I think his boy needs some more time in school. And I think it's ultimately going to be maybe too much for James, because I think his boy needs to stay in school for another year, maybe 2, before we could get a legit analysis on him being a pro. Because a lot of people say stuff like, yo, he's not ready, and he's not ready. He's never going to be a pro. Well, is Bronny James the same player in the 9th grade that he was in the 12th grade? No, he's way different. Just like he's not going to be the same player as a freshman at USC that he was as a junior. His game is going to improve. Just like all of these guys, they get better. And there's no reason for me to think he won't get better. But I'm not sure that James has that much time. I'm not sure he does. So when I look at the landscape of the Western Conference, and I look at what happens with the Golden State Warriors if they don't make the playoffs, there's going to be some interesting conversations. What happens if the Lakers don't make the playoffs? What's going to happen to this crew? Because we can't just keep them together. We can't just run it back. That's not going to happen. So in the process of that, what do we do? And Rob Pelinka is actually, he hasn't done a terrible job, contrary to popular belief. He hasn't. Yeah, he let Caruso walk out the front door. Yes, he did do that. He let Malik Monk walk out the front door. That was a money issue. Bagging Andre Drummond and then letting him walk. Getting Westbrook on the roster. I actually didn't hate the Westbrook logic in the beginning. And the reason why I didn't hate it, because I felt like James, with what James was doing in the past, I felt like he could do that with anybody. He could work with anybody. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. No. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So now we're in a space where there's some decisions that have to be made. Some real decisions that have to be made. So what do we do now with this Laker team? if they don't make the playoffs? What do we do with this Golden State Warriors team if they don't make the playoffs? I was looking at the landscape of the Eastern Conference also. I don't think that Atlanta is a playoff team. I don't think Chicago is a playoff team, even though they've actually been playing really good. I am a guy who I've never been a big fan of the play-in tournament, and I never will be a big fan of the play-in tournament. We already have a play-in tournament. It's 82 games. You have 82 games to make the playoffs. That's your play-in tournament. If you can't make the playoffs in 82 games, you're not a playoff team. That's 7 months. October, November, December, January, February, March, April. That's 7 months. If you can't make the playoffs in 7 months, you're not a playoff team. Now, we've had instances where we've had to make tiebreakers. For example, Minnesota and Denver, I believe it was in 19, where they ended up tying at the end of the season. And we had a one-game playoff between those two guys. Right? How we had a one-game playoff. That's something different. That's a unique situation. Right? That's a bit of a unique situation. But ultimately, you already have a play-in tournament. Now, I know that, and I've heard this in the past from other people, that the play-in tournament doesn't allow teams at the end of the season to tank. And it makes it more competitive. Well, if you did it like they do in pro football, where the worst team in the league gets the number one overall pick. The worst team in the league gets the number one overall pick. And we already know that that's the case. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't. But I understand that it's a money grab. I do. Just like the play-in tournament. The play-in tournament and the in-season tournament. I understand that it was a money grab. And I really wasn't a big fan of it. Initially, I didn't like it. I thought it was silly. Like, why are we having an in-season tournament? What is this actually for? Right? What is this? What is this in-season tournament for? Like, why are we doing this? But then I actually saw the competition. I saw the situation, and I saw how serious these guys were. Right? I saw how serious these guys were. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I do not hate it at all. Because of that, I'm all in on it. I'm all in on the in-season tournament. The play-in tournament, on the other hand, I think it's something different. I think it's something completely different with the play-in tournament, because what you're doing is you're rewarding bad basketball. A team like the Atlanta Hawks, 7 games under 500, one of the worst defensive teams in the game. That's not a playoff team. It's not. It is not. And because of that, I can't get with them. I can't get with them. But of these teams, and I think that I'm on record saying this, that I have Philly, and I'm still on record saying it. Philadelphia, I think they're a play-in team. You don't lose what they lost, and it's just a next man up mentality. No, that doesn't happen. You do not lose that, and it's just a next man up mentality where the guy that you lose is responsible for everything that we do. Everything. He isn't responsible for some things. Everything that we do on both sides of the basketball. You don't lose that and then just next man up, we'll get back to work. Nah. That's not the way that works. No way. So I think Philly is a play-in team who I wouldn't be surprised, to be quite honest with you, if they didn't make the playoffs. It would not surprise me at all if they did not make the playoffs. Not at all. But I want to hear from you guys. Who in this, of these 3 teams, who takes the biggest hit if they don't make the playoffs? Warriors, Suns, Lakers. Because I can tell you right now, I'll be surprised if all 3 of these teams made the playoffs. The way this is looking right now, I'll be surprised if all 3 of these teams made the playoffs. I would be very surprised. if all three of these teams made the playoffs. I'm interested to see who is going to be on the outside looking in. It could very well be the Suns. It could be the Lakers. Well, like I said, it could very well be the Lakers. But one of those two teams, if it ended today, it would be either the Lakers or the Warriors. I'm not sure. Not sure at all. So I'm interested to hear this. Very interested to hear this. Peace, God.
Peace. What's good, Chill Town? What's good, brother?
What's up, brother?
Yo, one of those teams have to make it.
They have to.
One of them have to make it, right? Because they're 8th, 9th, and 10th. None of the teams that are outside of the 10th seed are anywhere close to being in the play-in.
Right.
So it looks like we're going to get a Laker and Warrior play-in game. That is going to be high ratings. And this is why the NBA wants the play-in tournament, because it allows for more games, which helps the owners, right, make more money, and it helps keep teams from tanking. Right now, if you're the Warriors, you're going to keep playing because you got to get ready for the play-in. If you're the Lakers, you got to keep busting your behind because you got to get ready for the play-in. So these teams are going to be busting their behind. But to answer your question, to me, the team that's going to take the biggest hit out of the three teams you mentioned is the Lakers. But what if Dallas doesn't make it? What if Dallas loses in the play-in?
And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. And the reason why I'm glad you brought that up is because who's the guy that we talk about a lot around here? Luka. So for Luka to miss the playoffs in his prime twice in 3 years? Twice in 3 years he misses the playoffs? We have to have a different conversation about Luka. Now, I know now 100% I know that I'm going to hear, well, we can't go off of Luka being as good as he is. We can't do that because Luka is a great basketball player. So we can't blame Luka for this. But wait a minute. With Luka being on a team with Kyrie Irving, right? With Luka being on a team with Lively, one of the better young bigs. With Luka being on a team with Gafford, right? One of the better young bigs who also was in the playoffs. And this team is built specifically around Luka's skill set. Specifically around his skill set. It ain't like they just throwing a bunch of ragtag crews together. No, this crew is built specifically around Luka's skill set. And the fact that he averaging 35 a game and missing the playoffs again, how we talking about Luka? How?
I mean, for me, I'm not even going to lie to you. I think Luka is the best player in the league, skill-wise, talent-wise, but obviously you're always predicated on how you impact your team when we talk basketball.
Correct.
And if for some reason, as great as he is, his impact on his team is not what we would all like it to be, because you didn't even mention Jason Kidd, the coach. He has one of the best coaches in the league.
Not to some people. Some people think Jason Kidd sucks as a coach. Some people think Jason Kidd is whack.
Who thinks that?
There's people that I talk to who think that Jason Kidd should be fired. They think he's whack.
Oh my God, the Lakers should have kept him. They are the ones who messed up. They should have kept him. They would have been in a better position with Jason Kidd as their coach right now. But with the Luka situation, bruh, it's glaring because they shouldn't even be the 8th seed right now. They shouldn't be struggling for the play-in.
Right. I don't think that they should. I really don't.
They really shouldn't. And mind you, didn't they trade for Williams, who was balling in Boston under Jason Tatum, who people say Jason Tatum doesn't lead his team or doesn't make his teammates better? They had to get rid of Williams, who would have been great for them on the defensive side, who hits corner threes, which is something that Luka needs. You know, if you're going to rely on Kyrie Irving, as great as that play was last night, he was 9 of 23 in that game.
Was not very good. He wasn't. No,
Thank you. So, you know, they won the game yesterday. They are a good team, but man, the NBA is just so great. We can't really rely on one player anymore, and that's the real problem with Luka. Luka is really just that one star that does everything for his team.
And he shouldn't have to do that much. He really shouldn't go. He should not have to do that much in order for them to win. He shouldn't.
Yeah, and the only difference between him and Harden 6 years ago is that he probably just looks better than Harden. Harden just looked like he was just traveling a lot more. But other than that, they both played the same style of basketball.
Having the basketball in their hands a lot doing a lot of other things, shooting the basketball more than anybody else, playing a lot of one-on-one basketball, getting other guys involved. But if you look at Dallas's offense, a lot of clear outs, a lot of one-on-one stuff when it comes to Luka. A lot. That's not a recipe for winning. It's not. So, Goat, good to talk to you, brother. You know where to find me at, my man. What up? Can't hear you. You muted.
Oh, yo, kid.
You hot.
You hear me?
You hot.
Uncle Chill, what's up with you, man? Hope all is well, brother.
What up?
Not much, man. I just wanted to chime in on the what Go was saying too, about the Luka situation. And then what you were saying too, if Luka doesn't make the playoffs, you know how we would have to look at Luka and Kyrie. But I mean, how much blame are you trying to put on Kyrie? Because I think Kyrie's been pulling his weight when Luka hasn't been there, in my personal opinion. Which to me speaks volumes to, you know, because like old boy was talking about, when they traded for Williams, that was a move to, you know, try to better the team and whatnot. Because I think when Williams was there, I don't think the chemistry was there. I don't think that was working out well. I don't think, because didn't he have a problem with Luka, if I'm not mistaken? Mm-hmm. So little things.
That was one of the main issues.
Exactly. And it's funny because right now I'm actually reading this book called Emotional Intelligence. And it's like, you feel me? You can, when your leader is emotionally intelligent, right, and able to actually be considerate of the feelings of his fellow teammates, you know, the guys, the workmen, the role players, the dudes that go out there and make the engine tick, you know, it's real important to be aware of how they feeling about certain situations. But when he got there, I feel like it was only like, after a week or a month that they started getting into it and whatnot. And I'm just like, damn, dude, this is not gelling well. And when I see situations like that, I try to think more internally as well. Like, was that the only blip, or is there other possible situations that could derive the team or derail the team from, you know, getting to the playoff seed? Because I mean, right now, they 7th seed, above them is 28 losses. Mm-hmm. Sacramento with 28 losses, and then the Pelicans with 26. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they crazy, you feel me, from securing a real seed, not no play-in tournament type seed. You know what I'm saying?
From 6 to 10 is only separated by 3 games. That's it. Which means you can have a bad week, and you could go from being out the play-in tournament and securely in the playoffs to fighting for your playoff life. That could happen. You can have a bad week, and that could very well happen. But when I think about the situation between Luka and Grant Williams, my first thought is, well, has this always been a problem in Dallas, or did Grant Williams he was the one who brought it to light? Is this something that was quiet in the past and they kept it under wraps, and there were other guys who had issues with Luka and didn't say anything, but then now Grant Williams is the one who, now this thing comes out, he was the problem. Well, was he really the problem? Or did we just not hear about other people in the past? Because he wasn't a problem in Boston.
He wasn't. He wasn't.
Was not a problem in Boston. He's in Boston. This team is in the East Finals. This team is in the NBA Finals, and that team is gelling. He gets to Dallas, and all of a sudden, he's a bad guy. He's a bad locker room guy. Wait a minute, he wasn't a bad locker room guy on a championship contender, which makes me think, well, wait a minute, what other guys got on this crew and were labeled as that, and we just don't know about it?
Yeah, wrongfully labeled. It's kind of like, it's reminding me of the Westbrook situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were hearing things about him being disruptive in the locker room, and we know that isn't true. And you can relate it to Williams, because with Williams, man, that Boston Celtics team, when they were firing and going crazy, Williams was, you feel me, hitting all them threes, playing crazy defense. I was like, yo, I'm loving the chemistry that they showing here. And then when they made the trade, I'm not gonna lie, it caught me off guard. But what you said makes me think even deeper about the situation. And this is why I love hearing your perspective on, because it's like, damn, did he bring something to the light that we all possibly was just looking over and just glazing by, just, you know, basically trying to talk about Luka, or try to talk about Kyrie, or try to talk about, you know, Tim Hardaway Jr., or these things, when the problem could be more deeply rooted. I like that. I like that perspective. And
remember this really quickly. He didn't get traded to Dallas. He signed as a free agent because Boston couldn't pay him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
If Boston would have paid him, he wouldn't have left Boston. He would have stayed there because he was one of their guys. He's one of their glue guys. So Dallas actually was able to pay him more, so he left for the bread. And as my grandmother once told me, the grass ain't always green on the other side, brother. It's not. It's not always green on the other side. So.
It's so crazy that you say that. Real quick, and then I'm gonna jump because I know there's probably other people waiting on. I love this little format, this platform. This is dope. I'm watching every time you go live. Real quick though, it's funny how you bring up grandmother, right? My grandma just passed, rest in peace, right? And you say the grass is greener on the other side. I'm at work right now, right?
Yeah.
I had just moved to another department, right? And I thought, right, everything was gonna be cool, right? I had one teacher. I had my mom tell me like it might not be all what you think it's gonna be up to be. And then right before I had made the move, because my grandma, she passed away recently, probably like late February, like February 24th. I was able to, have a little bit of conversation with her, tell her what was going on, and she was like, "Be careful, be careful." And I did that, and now I'm back at where I started. Because the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Not always. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is greener. Not always. Not always. I'm on record. Anybody that know me knows that I'm on record saying whoever created us, if they made anything better than grandma, they kept it for themselves.
Come on now.
I'm certain of that, man. I lost my grandmother almost 20 years ago, and it ain't a day that go by that I didn't wish that she was just here, just so I could hear her ask me if I was hungry or how I'm doing. So I could go on and on about my grandmother, but that's what that is.
I appreciate it, Uncle Chill. I appreciate it. Always much love. I'll be watching.
Yes, sir. Peace. Right, brother. I look at these situations like the Dallas situation. I look at these situations where internally there's an issue. And this wasn't an issue in the past. Now all of a sudden it's an issue. Why is it an issue now? But I want to make sure that we stay on topic when we talk about this Laker team, this Suns team, this Warriors team, Dallas. Like, who has the most to gain, right? Who has the most to gain? Who has the most to lose if they miss the playoffs? And I'm looking at the who's going to be out, because again, if it ended today, the Lakers or the Warriors are out. One of those two teams is going home, because that's the 9-10 seed. One of those two teams is out. That's the way that works. And then with the Suns in Dallas, like I said, I don't know what it is about Phoenix. When Luka sees Phoenix, he sees red. And he's looking 100% for work when he sees them. He is so with the smoke when he sees them. So with that being said, I'm thinking to myself, who is this the least beneficial for? I think it's the Lakers. I do. What up, Minor?
Chill. What's going on, sir?
What up?
Looking at that game yesterday, especially that Suns game, man, if they run into Luka in the playoffs or in the play-in, they done. They done. And then you looking at possibly either them playing the Lakers, who they had troubles playing against this season, and the Warriors, who are kind of surging right now. I would gather to say the Suns are probably the team that's going to be on the outside looking in. Looking at how Milwaukee, without Giannis, was just leaving people wide open everywhere. I mean, I watched Bobby Portis get open three after open three after open three, and the response from the Suns was almost non-existent. There was no getting back on defense. There was no attention to rotations. And I'm like, y'all got a defensive head coach. How is this possible?
Minor, you can't get blown out against a team that doesn't have a best player. That can't happen. Just the same thing happened yesterday when I'm watching Atlanta blow out the Clippers with no Trae Young in their building. You can't get blown out. I can't take you serious when that stuff is happening. I can't, yo. I can't.
And then how many points did KD have? Like 9 points? 11 points?
I think 11.
Yeah. Like, I understand KD ain't going to score 40 every night, but 11? In a game with no Giannis,
No
that's
rim protection like that.
it's
None.
inexcusable. And
None.
watching how the Bucks, Dame and specifically, was constantly getting to the basket, getting to the cup, drawing in defenders, kicking it, dish, open three, drawing in, kick, open three. Every time they was coming down like clockwork.
Right.
That Suns, man, without a legitimate point guard and without a legitimate point of attack
Attack.
defender,
Mm-hmm.
they out of those three, and even including the Mavericks, they done. They're done.
I'm looking at KD and I'm looking at where we are in his career. And I feel like guys like KD, James, Steph Curry, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, even though Kawhi Leonard is only, I think he's 32. I think he just turned 32 or 33. Kawhi Leonard is more like 36, 37.
Yeah.
Just off the strength of how many miles are on him and how beat up he is. When you get to this point, guys like James, KD, Curry, like we don't have any years to waste because this thing could end at any point with an injury with these dudes. Curry is not in year 5. James is not in year 7 or 8. So it's going to take a lot for a torn meniscus or an ankle injury to get back to form. It's going to take a lot for that to happen, right? So when you get KD in a season like we have now, where I think the last time he's been this close to I think he's 52, 41, 88 this year. Well, I think this is his second or third highest field goal percentage of his career this year from start to end in terms of the season. What I don't want to do is I don't want to waste that because I don't know if I'm going to get that again. I don't know if I'm going to get that again. Not to mention, over the last 4 years, what you've seen from over the last 3 years, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, last 4 years, what you've seen in this exactly in terms of health. How do I know that over the next 2 or 3 years, because again, KD is not going to be 35 in 3 years. So I'm probably not going to get the same KD 3 years from now that I got now. How is he going to hold up physically? I don't have any years to waste with this dude. None. I have no time.
I don't feel bad for KD because KD put himself in this situation. The only one I kind of feel bad for would be the Warriors, who just were snake bitten because of the injuries to Clay and the craziness of Draymond, and LeBron,
No,
who
Miner, don't let them off the hook for this. Don't do that. Don't let the Warriors off the hook for this. You saw Clay had 2 career-ending injuries back to back.
True.
Whatever you got from him after that was a bonus. And then when it was time to get off of him, which you had the opportunity to do, you didn't do it.
Can you fault a team for being loyal to somebody who could have easily left earlier and been maybe not a superstar, but a bona fide all-star somewhere else?
But he didn't want to
blame
leave.
him.
If he wanted to leave, Miner, he would have bounced. The Warriors, you want to talk about being loyal? The Warriors were the ones who put the money on the table. They paid him max money. It wasn't like the Warriors made him. It wasn't like the Warriors did what Phoenix did and told him to go shop himself and just match deals. No, they put the dough on the table and they recognized who he was and they paid him. So now, when you get to that point, you have to come to a point where we recognize that the best years that you had are behind you, and we got to cash out. We have to cash out. Mine, how many times you been at the blackjack table and you up 500? You gonna keep going when the blackjack dealer already beat you 2 hands? You gonna keep going? It's obvious that you're running out.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go ahead and cash out.
Let me get my chips and
rack in my chips.
Well, same logic with Klay Thompson. We talking about a guy who had 2, not 1. He tears his ACL. In the process of rehabbing his ACL, he tears his Achilles.
Yeah.
Those are 2 career-ending injuries. Whatever I got from him after that was a plus. Now it's time to move off of him because what's going to happen after this season, he's going to be a free agent. And if you decide to pay him, what you think his worth is, because his game is obviously going the other way. It's not like he's still the same dude he was. His game is clearly declined. So what are we doing with him? Same thing with Draymond. When you won in 22, that was the best time to upgrade this roster. I equate that, and I'm actually on record saying this, I equate that to the 2018-19 Trailblazers when they was in the Western Conference Finals. That was the time that was the time when you had an opportunity to upgrade that roster. Instead, you run it back. Everybody in the West got better. Except you.
Yeah.
Except you.
It's hard. That's a fine line to kind of balance between being loyal and being upfront, because at least you can say the Warriors are going down with the ship. If they all going, I know you shake your head, Chill, but come on, man. In this day and age where there's no loyalty, everybody bouncing around, at least you can say, hey man, we all gonna go out together, holding hands like the toys on Toy Story 3 when they was about to go in the furnace. That's the Warriors right now. They just slowly going into that furnace.
Minor, we don't have to sink the ship, yo. That doesn't have to happen. I'm just saying, brother, we don't have to sink the ship. It's not just because we've been together does not mean that we gotta sink the ship. We can save this. And that means that some people might have to get sacrificed. So we don't have to do this. Only except the Warriors are doing this. I'm just saying, brother. So
I hear you.
Good to talk to you, brother. You know
what Chill. Can I give one thing? Can I give a shout out to my wife? It's her birthday. And I want to say happy birthday to my wife over the interwebs and all that good stuff, as well as our anniversary. It's our seventh year anniversary. So
happy birthday, Mrs. Minor. Happy birthday, Mrs. Minor. Taking care of my man. I like that. I love it.
She does. She's the manager around here. She's the oil in the engine that keeps us moving, man. So I gotta give much love to her.
Hey, she what you call it? She is the Horace Grant, right? She's the dirty work person. That's who like this thing don't run without her. If she ain't around, this thing look way different.
Way different, Chill.
This thing look way different.
Way different.
I ain't saying that it's not gonna run. It's not gonna run nearly as smooth. It ain't gonna be as clean. So we need her. We need her to stick around.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday. You. All right, brother. You know where to find me at. I love it. Absolutely. What up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what up?
Chill. I think the teams that have the least to lose in this really are the Golden State Warriors and the Lakers. Because, I mean, at this point, we don't really expect those guys to do anything in the postseason. I mean, the Lakers haven't won in a minute. The Warriors are old at this point. You know, their best guys, they're past years of who they used to be. And I think those are the teams that have the least to lose. I think mostly it's Phoenix and Dallas, and more so Dallas than Phoenix. Because what's the conversation with Luka now? Back-to-back seasons, you missed the postseason.
Twice
like
in 3 years.
Yeah, twice in 3 years. What's the conversation with you now? Can we still crown you the best guy, the best player on the planet, even though you keep missing the playoffs? You know what I mean?
That team is built specifically around your skill set. That's number one. Number two, the Laker team. I mean, so are we saying that run last year that was just a fluke? Them making the Western Conference Championship and them making the run that they did in the playoffs, that was just fluky dookie.
I thought it was a fluke. I thought that last season was a fluke. I don't think they make it to the conference championship again this year. Even if they do make it.
Who are the Lakers really then? Are they the Lakers that lost to Phoenix in the first round because Anthony Davis was beat up? Are they the Lakers who didn't make the playoffs in 22? Are they that Laker team? Like, who are the Lakers then? And on top of that, for them to miss the playoffs, this will be the third time in 5 years that they missed the playoffs, right?
I think they make it, but they lose in the first round. I think they're maximized at second round. I don't think they get to the conference championship. Legitimately.
I think that we're looking at a crew that, barring injuries, which isn't really the case now because Anthony Davis went out of the lineup with an injury, with an eye injury. But with that being said, this is a crew with all the guys that they have and the vets that they have. Could they get a favorable matchup in order to win? Could
what are their favorable matchups?
I don't hate them. I don't hate Oklahoma City. I don't hate that matchup. I don't. I actually like that matchup.
So they see OKC in the first round. Let's say they see OKC in the first round. So who are they seeing in the second round? Minnesota?
Which I'm without Cat, I don't hate that matchup neither. I don't. Even though I think Minnesota even though I think Minnesota would beat them, and I do think Cat would be back by the time the postseason started. But with that being said, I think Minnesota would beat them, but I don't hate that matchup. The question is can the Lakers even do they do enough to get in? That's the $1 million question, and I'm not sure that they do. I'm not.
Well, how are they doing? How have they been doing against Golden State this season?
I think they beat Golden State twice. Yeah, the reason why Golden State beat them is because Anthony Davis went out. That's their interior defense. He's actually the difference on offense and defense for the Lakers when they play against Golden State because they have no answer for him. They have no answer for him. So with him out of the lineup, that throws a monkey wrench in everything that the Lakers are doing, specifically against the Warriors, because they go to that matchup because he's matched up on Draymond, he's matched up on Jackson Davis, and those guys can't do anything with him. None of them.
So what about Phoenix then? Well, if Phoenix misses the postseason this year, what's the convo with them?
I think it's a wasted year for KD. That's what I'm thinking more than anything. It's a wasted year for KD because KD he's having one of his most efficient seasons that he's had since he was in Golden State. And that was 6-7 years ago. Since he was in Golden State, this is one of his most efficient years that he's having. And when we get to this point, we can't waste any years with guys like KD. We can't waste any years with guys like James. We can't waste any years with guys like Steph Curry. And I think this would be a wasted season for KD.
Well, Phoenix has been plagued by injuries as of late. They've been plagued. I mean, Bradley Beal's been in and out of the lineup like throughout the whole season. He's been in and out of the lineup. So I think they were banking on the fact that Phoenix was banking on the fact that these guys were going to be healthy enough to potentially make a deep postseason run. But it's been backfired because, Bradley Beal has been having back injuries as of late, which I think, in his growing age is only going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Right. So do you think Golden State moves on from some of these players after this season if they miss the postseason, Chill? Do you think it's the same thing with Phoenix as well?
I don't know. Well, it's not with Phoenix because they got those dudes, Bill, KD, and Book. Those guys are on the contract for 3 more years. So them dudes ain't going nowhere. So they probably – and on top of that, with Phoenix, the other half of the roster was completely flipped. Like, Bol is new. Okogie was there last season. But Watanabe is gone. I mean, they basically flipped the roster completely and kept and these 3 dudes, if I'm not mistaken, Devin Booker is the only dude on the crew that was on the crew when they was in the championship in 21. He's the only dude on the crew. Everybody else is gone. Nobody else is there. So with that being said, if you look at this team, the window for them to win is not open long. I think it's definitely close. It's closer to 2 years. It's a 2-year window for this Phoenix team. If they don't win it in the next 2 years,
Chill. Going back to Golden State real quick. What do you think they do? When are they going to blow it up? Because this is going to be the second. This is going to be them missing the postseason this season. Last season they lost in the second round, so they obviously are not a championship team anymore. Right. So when are they going to blow it up? Is really what I'm asking you here.
Well, I don't know if they blow it up because Steph Curry still has some more viable years left. So unless you trade Steph is the linchpin. So if you're moving off of Steph, then that means you're moving off of Draymond. But if you're holding on to Steph, that means you also holding on to Draymond too. So with that being said, as long as them 2 dudes you holding on to, then that also means that maybe you hold on to Clay, which I think that's a mistake. I do.
Who are they going to get? Who could they possibly get, in terms of trades to make that team better?
Well, I don't
call up Portland, ask for Ayton.
No, I think Portland is firmly committed to DeAndre Ayton. I do not think that they're coming off of him. And on top of that, I don't think that DeAndre Ayton makes them that much better. So, all right, brother. You know where to find me at. Yep.
I'll see.
What up?
What up, Joe? Can you hear me?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing, man?
Yep.
All right. Who do I think has the least to gain? I think all 4 teams have similar issues. because they all did the same thing in the last 3 years. They all did different things that caused them to be in the situation now. In all, I do think it's probably the Warriors that have the least to gain, and the Suns, to be honest. Oh, actually, no. It's the Warriors and the Mavericks that have they are in the worst situation. The Warriors, because they can't improve. Like, the only way they can improve is they get rid of the pieces that made them great over the last 6 years. They have to get rid of Clay. They probably have to get rid of Draymond. And the reason why they have to get rid of both of them is because you want to kind of change the culture. And I also think that the Warriors' development of their young players hasn't been great. So they're going to be bad for the next couple of years. So they haven't necessarily integrated the new players into a system of winning. They brought in Kaminga, and they brought in I can't say his name, Podawaski, however his name is.
I call them pods. That's what I call them.
Pods. They brought in pods, but they didn't bring them in when they were winning, which is part of the problem. They brought them in as a response to losing and them not having enough youth on the wings to kind of help them kind of be in games. And they're the ones that kind of turned their season around. So the problem with the Warriors is that they need to pull back a couple older players to help with their youth development. But then Steph is still going to be there, so his timeline's a bit different. So now you have an older guy who's 36 who probably wants to win, and you're going to have to convince him that these young guys are going to help him kind of win some games, but he's never going to be in championship contention again. You're going to have to get rid of James. So it's going to be hard for them. The Mavericks have suffered from what we call overcorrection. They got to the Western Conference Finals in 2022. They wasn't a Western Conference team, in my opinion, finals team, but they got there. Same with Portland. And what happens to both of those teams when they get to the finals? They basically overachieve. They hit 3 teams that are similar to that Dallas Mavericks team. Funny enough, the Atlanta Hawks, the Portland Trailblazers in 2019, and the Dallas Mavericks are all the same team. You have this guy who they get to the conference finals after playing extremely well, but a lot of teams aren't ready. Either the young teams are young enough where they're not ready to come through, and the old teams are still kind of there trying to kind of cash in the championship window. And those teams are kind of gone at this point. So, for example, when Dallas went there, the Lakers were out of the playoffs, anything like that. Minnesota wasn't quite ready. So all of these teams are in flux, and you have a really great player. And then they have a great player that pushes them to the finals. And then what they do the next season, they overcorrect. They think this team is championship ready. They're not ready. They're not young enough. They're not good enough to compete for a championship yet.
So you basically just gotta. This is good stuff here. So you basically got a really good matchup. In the process of you getting a good matchup, some other teams underachieve. So, for example, Philadelphia underachieved. Atlanta had no business beating them. Y'all had no business losing. You had no business losing to Atlanta in that semifinal series, none whatsoever. So now, what you do when Atlanta beats them and they end up in the East Finals, if Giannis doesn't get hurt, I'm on record saying this. I think they sweep Atlanta.
They would have sweep Atlanta. They beat them in 6 without Giannis.
Yes. I think that with Giannis being healthy, I think they smoked them in 4 games. I don't think that series goes past 5 games. I think they completely smoked them. So, and I'm on record saying when you lose like that, I don't think that you're close to winning. But what happens is that teams, to your point, teams see the conference finals. They'll see the conference semifinals and think, okay, we're there. No, you're not. You still have to improve your roster, and they don't. They basically run it back.
And they make it worse. In the case of Dallas, they made it worse. Getting rid of Jalen Brunson was the worst thing that they could have done because he complemented him so well. And the problem is with Luka, it's going to be very hard to find a point guard who complements what he does with a guy who's on the ball so much, who controls and dribbles the ball so much. Jalen Brunson, for what he is, he's a scoring guard. He doesn't necessarily, he needs the ball in his hands, but he's a quick decision maker. So he will get to the rim, do a little quick floater. He'll get a free spot up shoot. He can do what you ask him to do at a very high level.
Right.
If you look at his efficiency numbers, he doesn't need the ball that much. He was shooting like 52% with Luka next to him. Like, I'm not saying those are the best. Like, I'm not saying, from an efficiency, like from a kind of metric standpoint, those are amazing. But I'm just saying to you, from a guy who's not a primary ball handler, who's a guard, shooting 52% and then averaging 27 throughout the playoffs, I don't think you should then, the next move that you should then do is then get rid of him and then not upgrade that position. And then be surprised.
Which they
didn't. I just want to say I don't think Kyrie isn't or is better than Jalen Brunson, but as a number 1 or a number 2 at this point, Jalen Brunson's a better player than Kyrie Irving. I don't think that's a difficult conversation to have. And you've gotten rid of it, and now you've struggled in that position. And again, somebody like Dallas has to have a conversation about how do we make Luka Doncic a contender. He's a
Is
6'9".
Amari is Jalen Brunson a better fit in Boston, or is he better at basketball than Kyrie Irving?
Is he a better fit at Dallas, you mean?
No, Jalen. Oh, I thought you meant Jalen Brown. I'm sorry.
No, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson.
So you think that Jalen Brunson is having a better season than Kyrie Irving, or does he fit better in Dallas than Kyrie Irving did?
I think he's having both. I think both. I think he fits better in Dallas next to Luka, and he's having a better season. I think
he did play really well off of Luka. Yes, he did.
He did. He plays fantastic off of Luka. And then when he was leading his own team, he got them the first 2 games of he got them 2 games in the series by himself without Luka. So again, it's now about how you feel Luka is as a scalable player in terms of what does he do in terms of making his team better. I don't believe in making your teammates better from a certain standpoint. These are grown men. I don't believe that you can make them better in that kind of capacity. But I do think there is certain skill sets that allow teams to adjust to you. And what you realize with guys who are very high usage, high volume scorers, hold the ball a lot. When they meet teams that do heavy ball movement and are very intelligent, they struggle a lot. Doesn't matter how many points Luka puts up against the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard and his teams are going to always beat him. He can put up 47, they can get to a game 7, then they're going to lose. Because basically we know the game plan. You just give the ball to Luka and watch the other players not
run a lot of action. They don't
run any action. They will run 5 out, and basically Luka Doncic will dribble the ball, heavy isolation, get down to the paint.
That's not hard to guard. That's not difficult to guard.
It's not difficult.
It's not.
And quite frankly, all you need to do is just single defender team. I don't need to double team Luka Doncic because I'm effectively just watching him play basketball. So he can score 60, and he's capable. He scored 70. Can he score 141?
No.
He can't.
No.
And how much is he letting on the other end? So you're going to have a conversation about that. And I think for the Lakers and the Suns, everybody knows this is ending anyway. This is not a big deal. It doesn't matter how the season was going to go. They wasn't going to win, and LeBron's leaving. Anthony Davis is not staying on a Lakers team that hasn't got LeBron that long, and he is clearly showing that he is not going to be your number one. So it's not going to be pretty for the Lakers. But this is what happens again when you overcorrect. You had a bad season in 2021. You got injured. You got hurt. What did you do? Get Russell Westbrook. That's it. It's finished. You can't blame anybody besides the front office for the decision that they made to get Westbrook. You hampered yourself. You decided to get a guard to take pressure off LeBron James. That wasn't the right person to do it. And also, LeBron James doesn't want himself to have pressure taken off him. He likes the ball in his hands. You told a guy who likes the ball in his hands, go with a guy who likes the ball in his hands even more than you, who can't shoot. And then LeBron James just monopolized him and put him in the corner because he's better than him. So, and then you put him on a high salary, you couldn't get rid of him, and now you're stuck with a team that is basically the waste products of Russell Westbrook straight up destroyed your team. The Phoenix Suns, again, overcorrection. You had Chris Paul. You lost in the second round badly. You lost by 50. You lost by 50 points. You got knocked out of the playoffs.
Just got destroyed in Game 7. You didn't lose. You got destroyed in Game 7.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Me neither, ever. I stopped watching at halftime. I did. When they were down 40, I was out. I was good.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. But you overcorrected on your team. And I think, in a way, like I said, the Warriors are the ones that are in the worst position because they're still going to keep a star player. The Lakers are going to go into rebuild mode. Phoenix is going to remain stagnant in the sense of how they are as a franchise. And Dallas may need, and to be fair, Phoenix may have to look at trading Booker because there's no point of having him there if they're going to keep doing this thing. You're giving them a guy who plays in the exact same position and told him to be a point guard. He doesn't do that. So why did you do that to him? And for the Phoenix, for the Golden State Warriors and for the Dallas Mavericks, for Dallas, we're going to have a conversation about Luka. It's not going to be nice. I know he's a fan favorite of people and people love him and they pretend that they don't.
Luka hater, Amari.
I'm not a Luka hater. I like Luka. I just think that I've seen him before. I've seen what a guy does in his position when he is a heavy scorer. He's averaging 35, 9, and 9. There's no way that's good for a team. I don't believe that's good for a team. When you're averaging 35, 9, and 9, you're taking up 30.
Like, what about Jokic's stat line? I mean, I know it's not as many points, but that it's like similar.
No,
But
it's
look
not.
at Jokic.
No,
No, it's not. Look at the way they play. If you look at the way
I'm not
Jokic
talking
play,
about their game. I'm not talking about strictly their stats. Not talking
Okay,
about the way they play.
let's discuss their numbers. So Joker, I think, is 26. I think he's 12 and 8 this year. Number one, Luka is the primary ball handler. Not only is he the primary ball handler, the offense runs through him. Joker is not the primary ball handler. That's Jamal
But
Murray.
the offense runs through Joker, though.
The offense runs through
Yeah,
Joker.
right.
And not only does the offense run through Joker, Joker is more efficient when he's looking for other guys. Joker's first option is not to score. He loves playing.
But we're talking about their game right now, though, right?
Okay, so let's discuss their games. Sure, let's discuss their games. Joker's game is predicated on guys playing off of him. He could score with the best of them. But in the process of him doing that, he recognizes if I'm scoring like that, more times than not, we're gonna lose. If you think about last year when they were in the playoffs, when they lost to Phoenix, that's Luka going. That's Joker going for 50. That's Joker going for 43 when they lose. When he's 28, 11, and 14, they're winning because everybody else is involved now. Luka, who's not only their primary ball handler, but the offense runs through him, is ball dominant. And I'm watching them where they don't run a lot of action off of him. The ball is in his hands. They run a lot of clear outs and a lot of 5-outs. That's not conducive for the playoffs because all we do is we just load up on everybody else. Luka, you're going to have to beat us. You got to score 50. You got to score 60 in order for us to win. And plus, we can't get other guys involved when guys like Tim Hardaway, guys like Gafford, guys like not just Gafford, but Lively,
Washington,
Tim Hardaway. These guys, when they aren't involved in the offense and we're standing around watching, well, how much more effective are we going to be when this guy is just pounding the basketball and he's throwing grenades at us, by the way?
Yeah, and he's doing it at the end of shot clocks. Like, if you look at the way Jokic plays, they'll do heavy dribble handoffs from the top of the key, basically. Murray will run the play. If then Jokic has a lot of off-ball action when he would then post up. And then one of the plays that he does do from that position is then he would then throw the lob to Aaron Gordon, who's coming and cutting right down from the wing. So their stat lines are the same, but their impact is so different because of the way they do it. Luka Doncic doesn't do anything off the ball. And he's not to say he's a cone on defense, but if you actually on ball, Luka Doncic isn't very good. So he's always going to be a problem when it comes to basically transition. He's not going to stop anything. So I think the way that the Mavericks play is that he's everything to them. He's their solar system. So if he's not, he really doesn't play badly. But
I like that. Damn, that was a bar.
Say again, sorry?
Mm-hmm.
I said
yes.
He's their solar system. I like that. That was a bar.
He is. Yeah. He is. They live and they breathe off Luka. And if he doesn't do anything to be conducive of winning, like for example, just getting off the ball a bit earlier, like that would be simple. But those heavy, he even takes a long time when he's posting up the ball, and he will make a great pass from a post up. But again, it's fair, like 10 seconds of him just dribbling the ball, gets the ball back, post up again, then he'll make a shot. It's fun to watch, but when you're actually scheming and game planning, it's an easy game plan to actually stop him from doing what he has to do. It's the reason why a series can go 7, but in a game 7, when his team has been monopolized for 7 games, he will lose. It's what Golden State did to him. They basically just let him go for 35, and then his teammates just did nothing. That's why none of those games were close throughout the 5-game series that they played against each other. And since then, what hasn't he been able to do? Make the playoffs. It's quite a problem because people are working him out.
I mean, they didn't mean to make the playoffs last year. That was very intentional.
They wasn't making the playoffs, and then they sat him.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then that decision paid off because they got Derek Lively with their pick.
That's true, but will it pay off if they don't make it this year?
Wait, say it again. Sorry.
If they don't make it this year, would it have paid off?
Oh, I don't think there's a possibility where the Dallas Mavericks don't make the playoffs this year.
Are you sure about that? Even though I don't think that
I'm very sure.
I don't have even if it ended today, I don't have them losing to Phoenix.
No,
even though they could, but I don't have them
beat the Phoenix last night without Giannis. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm good. Get Phoenix off my team. They got smoked. Yeah, no Giannis.
They got smoked. Almost
they got smoked.
Put on their head. 82
Giannis. At the half.
Yeah,
82. I'm good, man. Matter of fact, I'm starting to get my blood pressure up. Let's chill out on that, yo. So, fellas, I got to keep moving. It's good to talk to you dudes. I know you had something for me real quick. I know you had something for me, Neff. But Amari, I know I got to go, brother. It's good to talk to you. I appreciate you. I watched that game last night, and I'm watching how Milwaukee just picked them apart. That's all they did. Just completely picked them apart. I'm watching Phoenix close out on the wrong side. Not only am I watching them close out on the wrong side, their transition defense was terrible. In the process of their transition defense being terrible, they didn't rebound. And the reason why they didn't rebound, because there wasn't a lot of shots to rebound. Because Bobby Portis is standing butt naked at the long ball line. So is Damian Lillard.
5 Yeah.
5 for 5. Right? So Damian Lillard is getting whatever he wanted. Not only was he getting whatever he wanted, they never put Damian Lillard in action last night and went after him as a defender at all. At all did they do that. KD looked like he didn't get any sleep the night before. I don't know what the story was with him. You know what? Don't get me started on this Phoenix team.
I love it. I love this energy. This is great. I mean that game was I expected us to lose. I expected to lose by 20. But
no Giannis. You should expect that, sure.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we're about to get smoked. 20 minutes before the tip off, no Giannis.
Right.
All right, we're about to get smoked.
Right.
But yeah, they just came out flat, like you said. I think they had their whole team.
Yes, they didn't have nobody was out the lineup. Everybody was there.
Out. They had their whole team, and somehow we got the game plan against them, and plus Bobby Portis went off. I'm not gonna lie, he had a game. Like if Giannis was in, like take 20 points off of Bobby Portis, then he would have like 11, and then give that 20 points to Giannis, like.
Or if Giannis is on the floor, maybe let's keep that 20 for Bobby Portis because it's happened before, and let's add 25 more, and on top of adding 25 more, let's take 15 points off of Phoenix. Why? Because we got a better defender on the floor. We got a better rebounder on the floor.
Right.
Get Phoenix off my TV.
Yeah.
Get Phoenix off my TV. Now I can say this, Neff. I can say that I think they were on the last leg of a 6-game road trip. But at the end of the day, I've seen teams run off 5-6 games on the road. I've seen them do that. I've seen Minnesota. I've seen the Boston Celtics do that. So the fact that you was on the back end of a 5-6 game road trip, that's no excuse for you guys who their best player is not playing. Not only is their best player not playing, who is a top 2 player in the league, by the way.
In the league. Like, it's not like their best player where it's like on the Magic, Paolo's not playing.
Lonzo Ball or somebody like that.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, okay. But no, Giannis is a top 2, at least top 3 player in the league. So it's like, what do you, I don't know. Yeah, Phoenix, they're done. In terms of your question, this is my last thing. In terms of your question on the title of the video, Phoenix is out. Get them out of here. Warriors, they'll figure it out. Steph is back. Jonathan Kuminga is coming back and is not coming back, but he's forming his personality and getting to his own, and he's getting the recognition and confidence that he needs. And I think the Warriors will be fine. I think the Lakers will figure it out too because they got the greatest player in the world. AD's pretty good. Also, D'Lo's going crazy right now.
Their best long ball shooter, sure.
Yeah, I think Lakers will make it 7th or 8th, and then Warriors will be behind the Lakers. But the Suns are out of here. Get them out of here.
All right. So good to talk to you, Neff. You know where to find me at, brother.
Yes,
absolutely. What up?
Yo, chill. Great show as always, man.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you for putting that dude in check today, talking about we done with the 90s over there on the panel. Had no idea what he was talking about at all. So I appreciate that.
I got roasted earlier today about, you set him up and all of this.
He set himself up.
Like when you say stuff like this, right? Like me, for example, you guys, when y'all listen to me, I have to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, right? I built up not just a fan base, but with my content, I've built up credibility that when I say something, it's legit. So when you say stuff like, if I said something like, yo, we done with the 2010s, your immediate reaction is to be like, yo, chill, what's up with that? What, like, you need to dive into that. What are you talking about? We done with the 2010s. You got to explain yourself. And I would have to explain myself and why I said something like that. I can't just say something like that and go, because them dudes suck or because I said so. No. Because
Man,
then what I'm doing is I'm generating a movement.
Exactly.
And not only am I generating a movement, I'm generating a movement of people who trust what I say. I can't do that, yo. No. And I can't advocate anybody else doing that without legit logic. Hell no. Oh. No.
He had no idea what he was talking about. He had me so lost. He said, "Did you get your chair in the 90s?" I'm like, "What?" But man, move on with that, man. That dude crazy. You could just tell he blew up off a video and had no idea what he was talking about. But I digress. Anyways, man, I think the Warriors, I think they're keeping an eye on a Clippers scenario, actually, because I really don't think the Warriors plan on re-signing Kuminga, Podziemski, and them to, big money. I think they'll keep an eye on that Clippers scenario. Kawhi already re-signed, so maybe if the Clippers lose early, maybe they package up them young guys and target an elite wing. I mean, Paul George, you agree he's still elite? I know his best days are behind him, but I think they package up them young dudes and go over and talk with the Clippers after this season is done. Because I think that those young guys aren't really a part of their future picture, the way that they treat them. And the Clippers are on a ticking time bomb. Steve Ballmer wants to return on his investment.
Yes, he does. That's why and I think that's one of the main reasons why he signed. I think that's one of the main reasons why he signed Kawhi Leonard back. I feel like that's one of the main reasons why he signed him back.
Exactly. He only extended Leonard. So I think Paul George is on the outside looking in. And you've heard the rumbles already that Philly was trying to get Paul George at the trade deadline. So I think if the Clippers fail, he might be on the outside looking in. And we could see Paul George get moved. But it's all speculation. I think to the Suns topic, I think they messed up turning a killer into a distributor. I feel like that's where they messed up.
And Devin Booker.
That was their biggest mistake, Chill. They thought they could turn a killer into a distributor. Go get a distributor. You could have got Kyle Lowry on a vet min just to distribute. You could have got, man, it was so many people out there. They could have targeted Tyus Jones before he went over there to Washington.
Well, the biggest problem was
the money.
And not just the money. We're also talking about Devin Booker in terms of his game. He was a victim of his own success because he could pass. Now they tabbed him as a passer. Like, wait a minute. He's not a passer. He's a guy who can pass. But his best years and his game is playing off the ball. That's his game. Exactly. His game is not put the ball in his hands and make plays for other people. No, that's not him. That's not Bradley Beal. Those two guys play off the basketball the best. That's not their games at all.
Yeah, I feel like they just approached that whole scenario wrong, having a 35-year-old being your main guy. And that's the reason why all these teams are kind of falling apart is because, LeBron is old, Steph Curry's old, Kevin Durant's old, and they're all the best player on their team. You want Anthony Davis to step up into that role, but it hasn't been the same since the 2020 season when they won in the bubble. So, I mean, I feel like they're a victim of their own
doing.
Their own doing.
100%. They shot themselves in the foot. 100%. No question. Exactly. I will not argue that. 100% they did. So, Finn Rock, good to talk to you, brother. You know where to find me at. Yup. I just feel like this season, these teams, it's going to be real interesting coming down the stretch to see which way that they go. It's going to be real interesting to see what these dudes do. So, I'm here for it. But it's about that time for me, guys. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you guys soon. You know where to find me at. You know where to find me at if I'm not here. I'm on TikTok live early in the morning. I do Good Morning NBA weekdays from Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I'm on the panel weekdays from Monday to Friday from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock on the Players Choice Network. I'm here on Chilltown Hoops with my man Sports Fluent. We do our thing, and we got a number of different shows that I think you guys will really enjoy. We're expanding, so check us out. We definitely got it going on, and we got more things to come. I think you'll enjoy it, and I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. She misses you. And I'll talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. But take it. Good to see you guys. I appreciate you. Absolutely. That was good stuff. I enjoyed it.